You are now listening to the podcast where authors inspire listeners to become authors, the Going North Podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer, best-selling author, and book enthusiast, DomBrightmon. And you're going to be listening to a different author that will inspire you to join the business of immortality, known as authorship. Now let the fun begin. Today's episode is sponsored by both books, Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself, and the follow-up bestseller, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. Head over to Amazon.com, pick up both books. They are available in a trifecta of paperback, audio, and ebook. Cop all three of both and be on the lookout for another book from yours truly to help podcasters succeed. Now let's get on with today's episode. And today on the highlight reel builder for authors known as the Going North Podcast, we got another super special awesome human for you today, and it's a first ever because she's all the way out in Dubai. That's right, indeed. First ever author's actually from Dubai on here on the show, so that means we're touching different points of the wonderful blue earth. That's right, indeed. Or the blue pancake earth if you're a flat earther. But hey, that's beside the point because today's wonderful author, y'all, she's a mom herself. I've got 2 wonderful adult kids as well as an avid baker, yogi, world traveler, and she's also a banker too. So let's give it up for Miss F and F herself, the one, the only Farah Flisher. How you doing today, Farah?
Hey, Tom. I don't know if I can follow that introduction. It sounds incredible, but thank you for giving it up to me.
That means you're incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right indeed. Because hey, you've done a lot, and the good news is you're just getting started.
Yeah, you can look at it any which way. Done a lot, just getting started. There's never a defined time when you can start something new, I feel. So yeah, really excited to be here.
Yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. And funny enough, I believe you're probably living like maybe 3 lives in one because you've been all over the globe and you had a bunch of religions inserted into you.
I have. And as it happens, yes, I live in Dubai, but today when we're speaking, I'm actually back in my hometown of Lucknow. And I was driving around town today and perhaps observing from an adult sort of set of eyes how the mixture of the British colonial architecture mixed in with the Hindu temples, mixed in with the Muslim and the Mughal architecture, and all in this tiny little chaotic town that I call home. So yeah, it was part of my upbringing, and it just got absorbed as I grew up without even realizing that I had such a culturally rich upbringing.
Oh yeah, definitely true indeed. Because I have a lovely hometown in India. Then, of course, I believe both your parents were also all over the globe. I think your dad was born in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Okay, so my dad was actually born in Johannesburg as well. So even though we're Parsis by faith, my mom was born in India, in the hometown where I am now, and my dad was actually born in Joburg.
Yeah, that's right indeed. So all the frequent flyer miles. That's right. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, so with growing up with all that wonderful experience, like how do you feel that's affected you now today?
I think what it's given me, and maybe as a child, I didn't really appreciate the diversity and the viewpoint it would give me later in life. But as an adult, as I, go to London or I live in Dubai or I come back home, I'm just able to slot right back in and feel really at ease. Means mainly, I think also with age, I've become very comfortable in my own skin. So anywhere could be home. But by virtue of having this really diverse upbringing, it's enabled me to straddle geographies, cultures, people, different social, economic backgrounds, and I'm just myself, regardless of where I am. But I can also appreciate different points of view. I can appreciate different cultures. I have a working knowledge of the different cultures that surrounded me as I grew up, so that I'm able to appreciate the other person's point of view if they come at it from their own upbringing or their own particular stance. So it's given me I would like to think, a wider lens and a ability to have a bigger perspective and not have a very narrow viewpoint or siloed viewpoint.
Beautiful indeed. 'Cause yeah, especially nowadays, can't just have one singular viewpoint without exploring the other sides of it because hey, things keep changing. And sometimes it's like, oh, when you grow up with something so long, it had some of its own ideas that may not mesh well with your new growth.
I completely agree. It's absolutely right. And the world has changed. And, maybe with COVID and everyone being these sort of technical, nomads working from everywhere, we're all pretty global these days, right? And I think it brings up an interesting question of where you call home as well, and where do you feel you belong. But I think the more we travel, the more we see the world, the more we appreciate different points of view, it hopefully leads to more harmony rather than, any kind of acrimony.
Ah, that's what I'm talking about indeed. So my goodness, so since you've been all over the magical globe, what would you consider your three major lessons learned from all of your travels?
Hmm, that's a good one. I think if I bring it back to basics, I think when you travel, I would say travel with an open mind. Be open to different people, different experiences, different countries, different cultures, and just accept and embrace, because that will give you the richest experience of anywhere that you travel to. If I bring it back to what I learned growing up in my hometown of Lucknow, my grandmother always used to say, practice good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, which is sort of the preface to my book as well. Meher and me, we talk about, as Parsis, that is what we believe. Your life starts with your thoughts. It could be a dream, it could be a vision. You sort of speak it out, you give energy to those thoughts and dreams, and then hopefully turn it into actions. And it's also about being kind to, people around you and to each other. And my third lesson, I would say, is find a practice that suits you, be it, yoga or exercise or dance or swimming or whatever, you're drawn to give yourself headspace in this very busy world that we live in, where the information that comes through, I believe there's some statistics around it, that it comes through quicker than we're able to actually absorb it mentally. So there's always kind of a data overload going on. So all of us need to create some sort of headspace to just find a moment of stillness in all the busyness. And, you may not want to call it meditation, but find a movement or an activity that allows you that space in your mind to allow thoughts to just pass by and pass on and give you a little bit of peace. Those would be three things that I would share.
Ooh, and three good things indeed. That's right, indeed. I guess somewhat semi pun intended with the good old good thoughts, good words, good deeds, all the good. Uh,
Absolutely.
right indeed, that's right indeed. So simple, and wish folks would probably keep that at the forefront of their brains a lot more often, especially in today's world where there's a lot going on. It's like, hey, if you keep that as the forefront, it's like, hey, let's focus on doing good here as opposed to focus on all the negativity that's going around and all the nonsense. It's like, yeah, maybe it'll help folks a lot better.
I think so. That means, and it also sort of ties into the other practice of gratitude, right? There's always going to be something that's not working so well in our lives. None of us have it perfect, especially on a day if I'm feeling a little bit down, or, something's triggered me a little bit. I'll just sit and start writing all the things I'm thankful for. And very soon I realize I have so much to be thankful for, that whatever it is that's causing a little bit of angst in that moment, you can put into perspective. In the grand scheme of things, there's so much good. To not let the that little thing, maybe it may not be so little, but whatever it is, to not let it overshadow all the good in your life.
That's right, indeed. Don't want to overshadow, indeed. That's right, indeed. Because sometimes folks may be penguins in a world full of giant dinosaurs, so you don't want it to overshadow you like that. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So my goodness. Well, speaking of writing, you got this fabulous book, a wonderful memoir, good old mommy daughter memoir, indeed. You joined the business of immortality by finally getting it out. So how does it feel? First of many books to come, I imagine.
I hope so. I think I have more stories inside of me. We started with this one, which just flowed and centers around my mom and me and the incident around how we lost her. But there are more stories to be told, maybe more stories to be shared. So watch this space.
Ah, beautiful indeed. So I was like putting the book together.
It was an interesting journey. So I think when I first started writing it, it was just a series of words that I popped down onto paper, and then I shared it out with a couple of people I trusted and whose opinion I valued, to ask them if they thought there was a future for me in writing, and if they thought, there was something to be said, and they did. So I wrote, and then once it was ready, reviewed and revised and edited with people's help. And then it came to the part about publishing, and I thought I would go the more traditional route. And I got as many, emails that I sent out with inquiries, that many rejections came back or feedback came back. And obviously, these are people who are very sort of knowledgeable about the publishing world and how it works. So I tried to take on board their feedback, but it wasn't sort of flowing or developing in the manner that they had asked me to. So I sort of put the book back in my bedside table drawer, took it out, thought about it again, talked to a few more people, back it went. And then finally, I think it's a question of the right place and the right time. It came together. I met, a wonderful editor and a company to help me with the promotion of the book, and it sort of flowed from there. So it's been an interesting journey. It's not been short. It's been quite a number of years, but I'm happy to be able to share it here with you all today.
Sweet. Congratulations. Right indeed. Years in the making. It's right indeed. It's right indeed. The journeys of trying to publish a magical book, especially going the traditional route of having to deal with all the rejection, all the rejection. So what helped you to stay inspired and motivated to get it done?
I kind of think it comes down to my personality. I'm quite persistent, and I'm quite like, I wasn't taking it personal, the rejections. It was almost like I created this very corporate persona. So I was treating it as if you like, a work project. Okay, this one said no, another one bites the dust. It's fine. You just keep going. When I couldn't get it out in the route I thought, there was a moment when I thought, okay, maybe it's not meant to be, but I always thought it's not meant to be right now. I never thought it's never going to be. It was just the timing's not right. This is not the right medium. This is not the right, I'm not in the right lane to get it published. And I do believe sometimes rejections are just redirections, right? It's sort of pointing you in a different direction. It's closing a door, so you knock on a different door or you try a different route. And that's exactly what I did. I just kept trying, taking a bit of pause, bringing the energy back in, going at it again. And, it's a little bit of tenacity and persistence.
The TP, we all need the tenacity and persistence. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. And if I'm not mistaken, I guess that's some traits that you and your mom shared, if I'm not mistaken.
I would definitely agree. I think I definitely learned that from her. And also to do the right thing, to stand up for what you believe is right. So if I believe I have a story to tell, or if I believe it'll help someone, or if I thought, I was doing the right thing, then I don't sort of necessarily give up. I just, take a pause, wait, resettle, rebalance, and then go back at it.
Oh, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. So was writer's block an issue at all for this book?
To be honest, maybe not necessarily writer's block, but when I started writing, it was the heart of the story that came together first, right? When your readers hopefully read the book, they'll see what I'm talking about. I had to reach out to people to validate facts and get information, especially of the period of time where, I wasn't even around. So not so much block as just needed help. But to be honest, once the words flowed, they just literally flowed. Where I got blocked was when I was getting advice on how to reposition the story or change the emphasis of the story. Those were the bits that I wasn't able necessarily to feed in the way that I was being told to do, which is why I took a pause and brought it out in the medium that it is today.
Uh, definitely indeed. Because yeah, definitely how in this era of fact checking galore, it's like, yep, let me make sure I get everything right, make sure I'm really accurate, so I don't make people mad and put out lies. Because folks will
Exactly.
feel,
Exactly. And especially I'm talking about, people, friends, family, people who are still around. I needed to make sure, whilst it's my story and I'm trying to be as truthful without, burning bridges and without, upsetting people, because that's not the intention. But the intention is also to tell my truth in a way.
beautiful indeed, beautiful indeed. So, any advice for folks looking to write a memoir of their own, especially if it's a wonderful way to honor their parents?
I'd say just go for it, write it, get advice from people you trust. I shared it out with a couple of close friends, just get some honest feedback. Don't take it too personal to begin with, which is a little bit hard with a memoir, right? Because it's a very personal story and it's your creation. You feel a little bit vulnerable putting it out there and sharing, and especially the feedback. You have to be able to just steel yourself to take it and take it sort of objectively and not get emotionally caught up in it. But write it, get advice, get help. The tons of resources out there to help you. And today, the world of self publishing or hybrid publishing is so well developed that you for sure will get the support you need to be on your way and publish your memoir.
Sounds good. Sounds good indeed. So, my goodness, a fun question for you. Your fabulous book, Memoir and Me. If that book were a food, what would it be and why?
If it were a food, I'm going to link it to baking or to cakes. My mom was a great cook, but baking is more what I love. My grandmother was a great cook and used to bake, and I think I inherited the baking from her. I was probably going to say a chocolate brownie with maybe like a cream cheese layer inside rather than your traditional nuts, because it's that surprise of you're not expecting it. It's there. It's a bit of sweet. It's a bit of salt. So it's a little bit sad. It's a little bit happy. It's a little bit funny. Hopefully, it inspires your readers. But at the end of the day, I hope when you reach the last page, you feel like you've been on a journey and it was worth it. That would be what I would say.
One of those brownies with cream cheese inside. Just right indeed. First answer of its kind here. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Because, yeah, definitely full of surprises indeed. That's right indeed. Because, hey, mom was a lawyer who loved to be out and about with the public and making sure she got out with the public. And, hey, you got to be the total opposite. It's like, hey, let me be an introvert here. Let me have this turtle shell for a moment.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, my goodness, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but you're still in the current year, what advice would you give to yourself?
Wow, 25. I still remember me at 25. I would definitely tell the 25-year-old me, trust yourself. You're doing the right thing and it'll all turn out okay. Because I was so riddled with self-doubt and low self-esteem and didn't, know if I was doing the right thing because I wanted to be a doctor and I ended up in banking, and somewhere in my brain I hadn't quite accepted that maybe that was what I was supposed to do. So I would definitely tell 25-year-old me, give her a big hug and say, you're doing just okay.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's right, indeed. Yeah. Good old growing up years and young adult years where it's, oh, stuff is still being figured out. It's like, man, trying to be this wonderful square peg in a round hole. But wait, I'm not a square, I'm a whole pentagon. Or maybe a
Yeah,
trapezoid.
exactly. No, that's so true. I think those young adult years are really hard. Some people have it sorted and kind of know where they're headed and their life plans on track, but some of us don't. And I definitely think I was one of those who didn't and fell into my career through chance and not necessarily through choice. But now I'm more able to realize that, which is why I tell the 25-year-old me you're on the right track and don't doubt yourself.
Yep, that's right, indeed. Don't doubt yourself, indeed. That's right, indeed. It's like walking around with a flat tire. Don't do it. That's right, indeed. Drop the doubt. That's right, indeed. So that way you can have all the wheels. That's right, indeed. With no nails in them at all. That's right, indeed. So I know folks need to take their metaphorical tires and drive to your website and keep up with your journey. So for those who need to do just that, what's the best way for folks to do so?
So the website is farahpress.com. So www.farahpress.com. They can get a glimpse at some of the pictures and the world I talk about and see it in color and, see the visual imagery that lends itself to the story. There are resources on there. There's a link to directly access the book online if they would like to buy or download it from their favorite online retailer. And Instagram, I'm on Instagram as farah.press. And I hope your listeners will come and join me on the journey. And I would love to hear their feedback.
Woohoo! Oh, there you have it, folks. That's right, indeed. We're going to put a link to all of our stuff in the wonderful show notes and days and keep up with the journey and cop some copies of her magical books. Indeed, that's right, indeed. Feel free to share with your family. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Heck, maybe even share with the wonderful dog that talks like a human and that's 6 feet tall. That's right, indeed. So it can bark about the goodness of the magical story. That's right, indeed. All the barking, all the woofs. Well, before Cat joins in because of jealousy, any parting words before we close up shop there?
And thanks, Tom. No, it's been really great talking to you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And I hope your listeners will enjoy our conversation. And I really look forward to hearing their thoughts once they've read the book.
If you're hearing this part of the episode, that means you're one cool individual. Thanks a bunch for tuning in, and if you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to share it with at least one other person in your network. Bonus points for 3. And be sure to check out the backlog too while you're at it, because there are hundreds of wonderful episodes to choose from as well.